Sure enough, at about 4 p.m, my hands had steadied, and while I was having my second coffee, I spotted Harold and Rani across outside the entrance, dressed formally. I waved, but they did not appear to see me. Harold was carrying his cane and wearing his theatrical cape, so I knew they were headed for the opera. I waited for them to enter, but they stopped awkwardly and turned on their heels and walked away in a hurry, as if they had forgotten something important. I tried to remember when I had last seen them. It may have been at the British consul's party 4 years earlier. I think I tried to persuade Rania to buy some of the handmade jewellery I brought with me, but she said, no, maybe it wasn't Rania. Anyway, whoever it was said that my jewellery was tacky. It couldn't have been Rania. She wouldn't have said that. We were friends, for God's sake. I'd helped her through her depression back in the day. It wasn't Rania, was it? No matter. All water under the bridge now. Did she say the jewellery was tacky, or that I was tacky? That woman who just couldn't have been Rania. So much has been lost in the fog recently. The expensive coffee came with some nuts, olives and biscotti, but they fell short of constituting a meal. Nobody else I knew had come through the door. There was a man reading the New York Times in an armchair on the other side of the bar. I had not been paying too much attention to him, but by 5:30 I was starving, so I watched furtively as steak and frites were delivered to his table. The warm aroma made my stomach flip and contract. The waiter suggested he would be more comfortable in the restaurant, but he said he was waiting for someone. His dealer, as it turned out. When a scruffy young man arrived, the steak man drained his beer, jumped out of his armchair and rushed outside with him. I did not know then that a quick transaction was taking place. He had taken his newspaper, and I thought he was gone for good. The food was mostly untouched. I hovered for 5 full minutes, watching it cool down, before slipping into his chair and taking up the knife and fork he had just abandoned. I was about to take my first mouthful when...
What the hell do you think you're doing?
My face burned crimson. There was no way of explaining this, but I tried. Sorry, I stammered. I'm an environmentalist, and I hate to see food go to waste. It was the best I could come up with.
That's the greatest piece of horseshit I have ever heard in my life.
His voice was loud, American. Thank God there was no one else within hearing distance. He stood up and summoned the waiter with a wave of his hand. Oh, I feared I was about to be asked to leave, but instead...
I need the same meal again, cold Budweiser and...
He glanced at me.
What are you drinking, honey?
The waiter looked at me with a hint of disgust on his face.
I didn't know my wife was going to join me,
the American said. The boy knew it was a lie. He had passed both of us several times. He must have known that we were not connected, and that I had been trying to make my coffees last. Realising his tip might be in jeopardy, he decided that the customer was always right. It gave me confidence. A glass of rosé, I said, staring at him brazenly. We said nothing until he was out of earshot.
Go ahead, eat up.
I picked up the knife and fork and began to eat more delicately than my appetite demanded. He had clearly ordered a well-done steak. What a shame.
So, you want to tell me why I'm paying for your meal?
I am so sorry. You must think I'm awful, but honestly, this is not something I do. I just have...
A cash flow problem?
No, it's because... I left my purse. He pointed at my clutch bag.
Want to try again, honey?
I can't. I need... I'm waiting for...
Hell, I don't give a damn. Want to go to a party?
May I finish my dinner first? He laughed the way that only a man with a large stomach can.
You got balls, lady, I'll give you that.
I cringed inwardly at the vulgarity, but smiled. It's Cordelia.
Sam.
He stuck out a giant hand and I put mine in his and shook it. He grinned.